I'm happy to see you. For me, the topic of today's panel is so exciting, and I'm a bit nervous about it because it's a very important topic for myself. So even technology reacts in such a way that it was hard for me to enter Zoom. So I apologize for being 4 minutes late. And I'm happy to meet everyone. Thanks for joining. And I believe that we will discuss important things today, and we'll have many important insights from today's conversation. So without further ado, let's start today's panel discussion. My name is Olena Semenchuk. I'm PCC ICF coach. I'm head of community of professional development at ICF Ukraine, and I'm happy to start today's panel. As I have seen, you have already a bit of introduced yourselves. It's great to see that there are so many people from so many places, and it's our honor to have all of you, because I believe, as I said again, that it's very important to discuss what we're going to discuss today. And what I would like to say that, as I mentioned, today we'll discuss a topic which I wish I never had to discuss, actually, because the words war and coaching used to be incompatible in my worldview. And that was before February 24th, 2022. Actually, that day split the reality to before and after. Before the war, I believed in ICF values and the vision for a better future. I believed coaching can change the world. And after the war started, coaching for me stopped being coaching. I didn't know if it made sense, if it was still relevant to the new reality. Was this still coaching? How do I do coaching now? There were more questions actually than answers. And last year, during the International Coaching Week, I moderated a panel on how coaching changed after the war, with coaches from ICF Ukraine. And today we have a joint event with ICF Israel chapter. And actually it seems to be a disturbing trend. Yet this is our reality. The world is changing, and this reality is becoming global and relevant to everyone. And we want, actually, in this panel to share our experience and raise awareness to the way coaching is affected by war and effect coaching has on the lives of people and societies in times of war. And I actually would like to ask the audience, ask all of you, because for Ukrainians and for Israeli people, it's obvious what has changed, right? Our life. And I would like to ask all of you, what disruptive global or national event had a dramatic impact on your life? If you feel free, please just answer in the comments so that we will learn more about you, how you are nowadays, and what is your reality. And what I would like to say, that actually today we will discuss this topic with the panelists who I introduce a bit later. And we will look at this question from different angles, perspectives, points of view. And those will be from the point of view of, first, identity, what happens to self and client. Then from the point of view of ability to soak new learnings and develop skills as coaches, from the coach point of view, the impact of coaching initiatives on society, NGOs, businesses, education, the impact on business and corporate leaders, and the international angle. So we have some answers. Unfortunately, I can't, for some reason, to open the chat, but I'll introduce the speakers for those of you who don't know our great speakers today. So from Israel chapter, we have Yara ben Chaim, PCC ICF. Yara brings a wealth of experience from diverse professional backgrounds, including TV journalism and serving as a senior aide in the Prime Minister's office. Over 20 years of experience in coaching, leadership, team.
Well, I hope she's going to come back soon.
So maybe we introduce ourselves until Elena
Yeah, we will.
back.
We
So
will.
Yara,
Yeah,
you want to
absolutely.
take it and introduce yourself?
Quickly, yeah. Oh, she's back. She's back. Elena, are you back?
Yeah, you lost me at some point, right?
Yeah, you introduced me, and then it got cut after the Prime Minister office. But yeah, go ahead, Elena.
Can you hear me now? I just don't know what's happening. Yeah? Okay. So with over 20 years of experience in coaching, leadership, team facilitating, and training across various local and global organizations, Yara is not only a native English speaker, but also a global citizen. Her standout skill lies in dynamically leading, engaging, and deeply guiding individuals and teams, enabling introspective observation and fostering examined behavioral change. Yeah, let's greet Yara. The second speaker today is Shiri Ben-Arzi. Shiri is MCC ICF. She is health, medical caregiver, and end-of-life coach, founder of Medical Coaching Institute. Shiri is a coach, supervisor, workshop facilitator, author, and international lecturer. She holds certifications in medical and health coaching, coactive coaching, embodiment coaching, end-of-life coaching, ADHD coaching, caregiver coaching, NLP, and grief education. She was co-leader of the ICF Health and Wellness Community of Practice, co-leader from 2019 to 2022, and is currently co-president of ICF Israel. We also have 3 speakers from ICF Ukraine. So I'll start from Olga Vasylets. Olga is ACC ICF Organizational Development Coach, business consultant and speaker, certified practitioner of the Executive FIRE Index. She has a master's degree in international economics, more than 3 years of experience in professional coaching, and more than 5 years in business consulting. Currently, Olga is the head of L&D department at Enamin Ltd. Alina Sviatnenko, PCC ICF. She is executive coach, entrepreneur, co-founder of coaching agency, L&D advisor, and corporate mentor. Alina is the president of ICF Ukraine since November 2022. ICF Ukraine is the chapter that operates for 26 months in a full-scale war. And last but not least, Larysa Homans is a coach and mentor for leaders and change agents. Larysa is past president of ICF Ukraine Charter Chapter, leader of international coaching initiatives, certified integrative coach, and certified story coach. Founder of Lara Homans Story Home, international speaker, podcast host, and author. Larysa is the past of the ICF Ukraine Charter Chapter, co-leader of international partnership initiatives, impact-driven coaching ambassador, and innovative volunteer who combines authentic leadership, coaching mindset, and communication mastery for catalyzing changes and making a difference. Let's greet today's speakers. And without further ado, I would like actually to start our panel. And I have the first question to our panelists. And thanks a lot for answering to the question. Yeah, so for many of you, I'll refer a bit to my question in regards to disruptive change, right? So for many of you, it's pandemic, it's a Gulf War. General optimism has declined over recent years due to world events. Thanks a lot for sharing. I think it's also important to understand where you now and what's happening in your reality, in your part of the world. So getting back to the questions, I would like to ask the question, coaching before and after the war. Who have you been before the war, and who are you now? One significant change that you recognize in yourself as a coach. And I would offer this question to Alina Sviatnenko.
Thanks, Olena. I really glad to have this opportunity to be with our colleagues from Israel and to have our guests from all the world. And it's really important to share and to bring our unique experience to this space. And it's really difficult for me and emotionally also because it's difficult. I lead ICF Ukraine and ICF Ukraine includes more than 800 coaches right now, and we work remote, our team in all the world, and it's difficult times, but dear colleagues, if we are talking about change in coaching, it makes sense to consider the concepts of change, transformation, and transition. Before the war, as a coaches, we worked with change and transformation. Now we have much deeper work. Now we are working in the transition area. When we talk about life change, it's all about logistics. It was one situation and now you have a different one. For example, you have changed your profession, your country. You gradually adapt and acquire new experience, change mental approaches and behavior, and your reality changes. What is transformation? Transformation is qualitative change in a person's life, are the result of internal change and personality transformation. A person usually creates their own new reality due to their thoughts, their inner state. The internal system of beliefs is destroyed. Negative emotions are replaced by positive ones. A person lives old life stories that had impact on the current reality. It's about resolving internal conflicts and getting rid of traumatic experience. Transformation proposes internal change that form a new reality, a new life scenario of the individual. It's about influencing the external world through the internal one. What is transition? When you are not influencing the situation and you are not gradually entering the experience of transformation. You find yourself in a situation where the previous identity cannot exist. You wake up in a new reality and you don't know who you are. The previous system of thinking doesn't work. There is no previous structure of reality. There is practically nothing from the previous life. A person feels discomfort and confusion. What is next? And who you are? Transition takes place when an identity is born out of a situation. And such situation for us is horrible war. We are Ukraine and Israel in a period of transition right now. In the wartime, we have a huge learning. Now, a human is in the center. We are moving to the concept, first who, and then what. Neither the status nor the role matters. It's important to know who, which identity is behind it. Life has shown that real success lies not only in the possession of material wealth. it's not only in the achievement and success in social life. True success is to have good relationship with people who are close to us at home and at work. As for me personally, during the war, I become more confident, not because I have social status or business. I became confident in my own awareness of who I am as a person, who is next to me, what is incredible people next to me, my colleagues from all the world, my children, my family. And this is the main base and support. What is my significant change that helps to recognize in myself as a coach? I have to know myself very, very well. I know that I am always bigger than any of my roles. This is the one has helped me not to lose myself when the war in Ukraine began. I am not my experience. I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am not my attitude towards things. I am something more. And I have amazing habit to repeat myself. I am not what happened to me. I am who I choose to be. It really helps. Thanks.
Thanks, Alina, for this touching and profound words. And I'd like to ask the same question, Yara.
First of all, I feel very privileged to be able to share this panel with my fellow Ukrainian colleagues and with everyone who joined. So first of all, thank you so much for that. I want to say that my hat in this panel is also a faculty member of CTI and training of the coaches, coactive coaches. So because that's going to be the angle that I'm going to talk today from. Well, for us, life stopped and changed on October 7th. So I guess every nation has its date. You said your date, and for us, it's October 7th, and there is life before and after. And when we ask, how did I change as a coach? First of all, I really relate to what Alina is saying. It's how did I change as a human? War experience is an experience that puts you in the realm of life and death so sharply, so poignant. It's not in a movie, it's not in a book, it's not from someone else's experience. It's happening now, and especially in the first months of the war, there were rockets flying, and we have waves, and could happen in 2 minutes, could not. We just don't know. We can go in the street and get stabbed, and we can be ran over by a terrorist attack. We just don't know. We don't know. So the walking on that thin line of I might die today makes me so much more aligned with who I am today. I understand that the future is a nice perspective, but I don't have right now the entitlement to even plan too much. It's more about, although future is a superpower to hold me through this time. So it's a little bit like of an inner paradox. How do I treat future as a human? And of course, as a coach, because coaching time zone is happening in present and in future. And I am in the present, and it's really, really unimaginable. How do I even imagine something that is optimistic and futuristic and career development? And it sounds a little bit like not relevant and not connected at all to my life at this point. So I can say that in the first few months, I was completely shut down. I was not able to work or talk or function or understand this reality and to really face evil. It's really hard to face evil, the power of evil. Coaching is representing goodness and growth and human development, humanness. And then war and facing someone who wants to eliminate you is just it's a whole new reality. So what I've noticed that has changed for me as a coach is I used to be like that before, is to be really authentic. Authenticity was always one of my traits as an individual, but also as a coach. But now it's like 10 times stronger. I have nothing to lose here. I mean, I might die tomorrow. My client might die tomorrow. I mean, in Israel, I'm not talking about international clients. And I completely changed all the skills of take charge and blurting intuition and being in the moment and I don't want to say pushing, but encouraging and acknowledging has become so much more so much more powerful, so much more authentic, so much more courageous. I don't even feel courageous to be more authentic. It's a consequence of my reality. And I think, as Alina said, the most important people right now are the people who are around me, my kids, my friends. We can't compromise on truth anymore. So that's my experience. And another experience is working with people globally who don't experience war has a little bit of a dissonance for me. How do you even work with someone who's talking about career development and how do I lose whatever 5 pounds? I'm giving regular normal examples, which are okay. We're humans. That's what we want. But it's like, oh my God, it's like there is a rocket that's just flying over my head, or the Iranians, and then losing 5 pounds feels a little bit like dissonance. So. But I'm doing self-management around that, understanding that if I keep doing this work as a coach, I'm connecting to the world all the time. That's my experience in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thank you, Yara. What emerges for me is what is really important, what really matters. Yeah. And thanks for adding your comments. Please feel free to add your comments and also your questions, because I will also use your questions for the panelists, because it's really important to hear your voices, to hear your questions. And I'll like to give the floor to Olga Vasylets and to answer this question.
Good morning and good day for everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me for this panel discussion. I truly believe that this conversation, this discussion will help us from the one side, like to reveal our experience, and on the other side, it will be helpful to other people in different circumstances. And that's what actually my thoughts from the perspective of organization and corporate business. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I changed. Before the war, full-scale war, I was a coach who was brave enough and courage to be authentic and to face with challenges, both personal and business challenges and challenges of clients, and to be resilient enough to cope with all that. After the full-scale war in Ukraine began, I became more courage and more open to new challenges. I don't know why it happened with me. Probably the matter is that everyone of us has own individual reaction, all individual responses. Someone can freeze, fight or flight, and someone something like that. And my personal response was to do more than I can, to try harder than I can. And that would help me to stand and keep standing and support as many people as I can do it. The context changed a lot, and it was really stressful, not only for people, but for organization, for businesses. Just examples like relocations, blackouts, and disruptions in electricity supplies, and all this stuff the organizations and businesses needed to cope somehow with all that stuff. And do they needed coaching? Yeah, they need it, because they need many creative solutions. Even if they are in very severe circumstances, in very difficult and hard circumstances, they still needed to have some decisions, solutions in circumstances of total uncertainty. Now we adapted. Good it or not so good, but we adapted. And more than 2 years of full-scale war gave us, imprint on us to be even more resilient, even more brave and courageous. And what shaped exactly me is now I am even more believer in post-traumatic growth and our total resilience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olga. Your words resonate with me so much, and I hear this growth beyond, that we became more than who we thought we were, and we expanded actually. Thank you very much. Shiri, I would like to invite you to let us know your story, your wisdom, please.
Thank you. First of all, it's such a privilege and an honor to be in this panel and share it with my colleagues. Who was I before and after? I have to say that before the war, I was a medical coach. I still am a medical coach, but the people that I worked with were people that were going through significant life-changing crisis. And I myself, over 20-something years ago, was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. So I went through a very significant life-changing crisis. And I have to say that during the 20 years that passed, I comfortably settled into a place where this happens once and I paid my dues. And I'm kind of safe. I'm good. I fought for my life. I managed to survive. I'm good.
Shiri, you're muted.
I just unmuted myself. I realized that. So I don't know at what point I unmuted, but I'm just gonna repeat the last sentence, saying that I really thought that I paid my dues. I don't have to tap into my own story again. I'm good. And then October 7th happened, and the earth shook beneath my feet. I think it changed me on one hand, and on the other hand, it kind of brought out something in me that was inside, and I thought I would never have to use. I have to say that I am sad. I'm a sad person these days. And I'm a disillusioned person, and I can't separate my coaching from my personal life. So I don't think that I am a sad coach, but I do make room for sadness, and I'm okay with it. And we can look at it and be with it. I am more willing to renegotiate, put everything up for renegotiation, because personally I'm completely disillusioned. And it pains me to say that I'm also disillusioned a little bit with the world of coaching. I honestly thought that this is a community that no matter what happens, no matter what the circumstances are, I always belong. And I've went through a few experiences of betrayal on that aspect. Coming across coaches that for them, I'm either a Zionist pig or a filthy Jew and nothing more. And before October 7th, we were colleagues. That broke my heart on a level I never knew it could be broken, to be honest with you. So, without making this into a very long story, I find myself tapping into my own experience of fighting for my life and dancing with death, in understanding that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Been there 20 years ago, I'm there again. I have learned that those skills never went away, and that is the gift I'm offering my clients. But also remember the kind of clients that I work with these days. I find that I have the amazing ability to hold a safe space for total emotional chaos, which means that I feel more called forth these days than ever. it feels to me like I have a personal responsibility to leave this world a better place to my daughter. So if something has changed, like, you know, that sense of urgency, I never had that before. Like I had an agenda, I had a calling, I had a vision. But nowadays, hell, you know, I could be dead tomorrow. So it needs to be done now. And I think that kind of energy of like, we don't have the time to fuck around, pardon my language, we don't have the time to play around. Okay, I think that's one of the major changes. Yep, so that and the curiosity to see, you know, what's out once the dust settles and there's a new integration of the trauma and the grief and the sadness and the disillusion, you know, what is the new language of love and hope? Because without love and hope, it's just not worth it. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks a lot, Shiri. And remember the day we met, actually we met after the 7th of October, and actually for me, you know, that's how we met. So for me, you know, it has this hope of actually meeting and reaching out to other humans, other coaches, from the point of view of connection, what coaching really stands for. So thank you very much for your story.
I think this, our collaboration and this panel is ultimately all about love and hope.
Thank you very much. And I would like to invite Lara Homans to share your view. Please, Lara.
Thank you. Like all of you, very respectful fellow coaching colleagues from Ukraine and from Israel, I will say the same at the beginning. Thank you for inviting me to be the part of this extremely important conversation. And I hope that the colleagues who are listening and watching us now, and also those who will be watching and listening much later, can feel the complexity, the uniqueness, and the universalities of the topics we are going to touch and the feelings we are sharing and points of view we are bringing here. I think this is an act of courage to talk what we are talking today and to share what we are sharing. I also hope that they can feel the same sense of urgency to find the answers to very difficult, very complex, very challenging questions that the war time has already brought, and it's still keep bringing almost every day or times at any given moment. For coaches, for us, for people, we are not the coaches. At the beginning, we are human beings, the first. And then our professional identities are coming. And for our clients, which are feeling the same or very similar things and dealing with similar challenges. And also, I think it will be maybe call to actions for our coaching leaders, and mainly to start thinking what this profession is going through and how this profession can evolve because of what we were going through, you are going through, our clients are going through. My answer to your question, Olena, may be very short and very long and very provocative. Yes, I am the same person, the same name, the same color, the same eyes, the same hands, the same abilities to work, and I am not the same. Every morning, I'm looking at the mirror and I'm asking, okay, Larysa, who are you going to be today? I am not in Ukraine. I'm in very safe place. But to feel what is going in my country actually put me in some challenging situations when I was burning to find the answer, what I can do. I can remember every moment of the day, of the night, February 23rd, and the night February 24th for Ukraine. And we are preparing to have the online celebration on February 25th, 2022, to have online celebrations with my family to celebrate the memory of my father, who was going through the World War II. And almost when I was ready to send the message to all my relatives, so this is a Zoom link, this is what we are going to do, etc. I received a mail from one of my colleagues from the business school with one line. the war began, everything changed. Everything. I started calling to my families, knowing, okay, where are you? And not being there was probably more difficult for me then, because I was not able to do what they were able to do. And when I figured out, okay, all of them are safe, however, they spend the night on the shelf, and actually war began not on that night. In Ukraine, war began in 10 years before. And I was working with the clients in 2015 who were relocating from the wartime areas. And I remember what they were telling me in 2015, 2016, how they were trying to figure out the life they were going through and to redefine themselves. And I was sure that I was able to understand them then. But to be honest, I was not able, because I was not having that experience. I was not going through that experience. Now I can say that I'm different. I am different as a coach, not only as a person. I am different because the level of complexity and the level of self-truth and the level of understanding that integrity is not something that you can do once time for all. Integrity challenges is what we are facing every day. How is possible to have the panel discussions and in a few minutes after that to receive the message that one man from your family was heavily wounded and who is in the intensive care, who it's for family, but such family like mine, there are so many families and they are doing what they are doing. And I'm saying, if they are able to meet those challenges, how we as coaches cannot do the same. We are going through different challenges probably, but the level of sharpness, everything became very sharp. For me, now everything is clear. There is a duality, life and death. There is a duality, peace and war. There is a duality, truth and lie. There is a duality, ignorance and commitment to help. There is a duality of trying to pretend that everything is okay. And we are representing the very peaceful, very humanistic professions. We shouldn't be judgmental. We shouldn't bring our emotions. We shouldn't help to bring the best of us. But how to deal with not the best of us? How to deal with anger? How to deal with the sense of not just uncertainty, the sense of unfairness, the sense of willingness to be distant, the sense of trying to cover lack of courage with very nice words that we are so evolved, we are so positive, we are who we are with all the complexity. And answering your questions, one thing would change. I think it's not only one thing. I became very clear probably about 4 inner pillars that I was having before, but probably now is becoming stronger. Not probably, they definitely became stronger. What was helping me at the beginning to understand and to accept that life is bigger than war. And life is bigger than death. I went through the cancer. I faced with death much earlier. And people were saying, okay, 6 months, every 6 months you should check, etc. Statistics are, and it was very difficult for me to plan my life for 5 years ahead, for 10 years ahead. Fortunately, I'm alive for 10 years and I'm happy. And the moment of now and the dance, the wonderfully said dance with death, the moment of now, the curiosity, what is possible to do, and the courage to face yourself every morning. Another thing is human values are the foundation for any other kind of values, including professional coaching values. Coaching values are not showing first. Human values are showing first. And dignity and freedoms are the foundation of courage and leadership. And then coaching is bigger than coaching professional bodies and coaching schools tend to tell, tend to see, tend to convince. Coaching is bigger. Coaching is a space of freedom. Coaching is a space of dignity. And also, coaching is the space when we can show up as leaders. And how coaches can be leaders is a big question for me. It's a big challenge. Thank you for asking to answer these questions.
Thank you, Larysa, so much. I'll keep this phrase, coaching is bigger, coaching the space of dignity and freedom. And thanks for sharing this notion that actually for us Ukrainians, the war started in 2014, because I come from the area which was occupied actually in 2014. I'm from Crimea, and I have not been to my hometown ever since, because I was against that invasion. And 10 years later, sorry, I still remember my hometown and hope to get back there once again. So thanks for that. I see that there are more people joining us. We are really happy to see you. We are really happy that you joined the space, this profound space of coaching, of such a deep stories. And you maybe I guess that all of you are coaches, that you notice that we started from level of pool, right? So we got really deep, like immediately. That's why this conversation is that profound. And please feel free to give your comments, to just share what you feel, what's happening with you, because I would like this space to be open for all your thoughts, because they're also important for us. We want just to share this with you and want you to share what's happening with you, with us, and we will be really grateful for that. What I would like to offer is just please feel free to ask your question to the panelists, to all of the panelists or someone in concrete, because I have on my plan the idea of opening the space for your questions. So don't be shy, just share your questions. And our panelists will be happy to share their answers with you. And one of the things I wanted to share before I will go to the next question was that in the beginning of the war, we had like really many things happening. We were reaching out to many communities, to many coaches. And I remember on one of the panels, on one of the webinars, one coach from USA said such a phrase which struck me really deeply. She said that, oh, coaching won't be relevant in Ukraine for some time. Coaching is incompatible with what's happening. And it really struck me like, really? Wow, why do you think so? You know, and I felt like a rebel in me. How do you know? Have you experienced that? What is coaching really then? You know, and I had many questions to myself, to coaching, to community of coaches. And I will ask the next questions to the panelists, which they will answer from their relative points of view, their angles. So what's the impact of coaching in times of war? And thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. We are reading, I won't be reading, I think everyone just can read what's written in the comments. And yes, the recording will be there for you. Feel free to see it later. We want to keep this recording for everyone later. And I would like to ask this question to Shiri. I'll repeat the question. What is the impact of coaching in times of war?
I think coaching has an effect on all areas of life and all levels of existence, but I want to focus on one. And I want to focus on the one-on-one, on the self. And I want to say that coaching can address all the aspects where war has affected the experience of the self, the experience of the individual. When I think about the effect on the individual, I think that war has an effect of invasion. It invades our lives, it invades our reality, it invades our space. It's going to invade our body as well, and I'm going to say how. But unique kind of invasion, because it's an ongoing disruptive invasion. It comes in waves again and again and again and again. So it's not like some kind of acute event where your life has been invaded, it's been turned upside down, and then it's like, okay, and it stopped, and now let's rebuild and regenerate and recuperate. When you're living in times of war, everything that you build can potentially be knocked over again. The waves upon waves of destruction and invasion. And I see that invasion and disruption on 5 levels, and I think coaching can address all 5 levels, and that's why I'm mentioning them. First of all, on a physical level, we have stress, unbelievable stress, which means that we need to find new tools to help our clients regulate their nervous system, create a dynamic self-care program, and also address chronic stress, which is very different than acute stress. So chronic stress has more than one triggers, has a beginning, a middle, and Godspeed to us all, okay? So we need to understand that when we're talking about high levels of stress in the body, we're talking about high levels of cortisol in our system. And after 2 months, that becomes a toxin. It starts breaking down our body, but also our neurology. It's important to understand cortisol changes the way our brain works. And for us coaches, that's important because one of the effects is memory, the ability to learn new things, the ability to entertain perspectives, all of that. So war invades us physically, disrupts us physically. It disrupts us emotionally. We shift into a reality of emotional chaos. We are experiencing things we cannot comprehend. We look at reality and we ask, what is going on? What does this mean? How can this even happen? The fact that there is a gap between what we know to be true or how we perceived reality, old reality, pre-war, and the new reality, which we are struggling to find meaning, that creates emotional chaos. Now, unattended, we would go into patterns of shame and guilt and post-trauma and stress and dysfunction and depression. All of that we can meet as coaches. It's time for us to elevate our training though, and I'm going to say this out loud. It's time for us to be able, especially coaches that are working in war zones or working with people living in war zones, we need to upscale our coaching abilities. We need to learn how to work with emotional chaos. We need to be trauma informed. Because some of our clients will have first-hand trauma, other clients will have secondary trauma. You need to understand that secondary trauma can happen from watching TV and the TikTok movies, okay? So this means that none of us are protected from trauma. We don't have to be on the front lines. But we also receive our loved ones coming back from the front lines, whether it's some of our clients or whether it's family members of these people. They are affected by the dust of war because these people come home with the dust of war and the smell of blood. And I'm talking in a metaphorical way, but maybe not so much. Okay, we're all dealing with it. Okay. If there's a previous issue of mental illness, that will come up again. That will be re-triggered. Old issues, previous traumas. Clients that are overactivated or underactivated, mean going hyperactive or completely shutting down. And I do want to say one more thing, and this is, I don't think this is unique, about the war in Israel. I'm assuming, these cases show up in the Ukraine as well. In Israel on October 7th, we saw a level of sexual abuse we did not think was possible. I don't think it's just unique for Israel. I think this happened in the Ukraine as well, okay? This means that people that were affected, especially female clients, that were affected in the past by sexual abuse in any shape or form and any level, have been significantly re-triggered and significantly re-traumatized. That is invading into the coaching space as well. So we said physical, we said emotional. Let's talk cognitive disruption, okay? Our belief system is disrupted. Our hierarchy of values is up for renegotiation because war is such a fundamental experience. Our model of the world, what we believe to be true, our anchors of what we thought we could trust, who we thought we could trust, who we thought we belonged to or belonged with, the timeline, okay? Our story in the past, who was I, who am I now? What is possible in the future? Is there a future? For many of my clients, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, there is a huge question mark around the future. If it was certain before the war, it's not certain anymore. How do you work with a future self when you have a client that isn't sure they have a future on a very on a very fundamental level, okay, on a level of being? We also talk about the relational aspect, relationships. Can I build relationships? Who can I trust? How do I show up in relationships? Social, can I trust social structures, whether they are local, whether they are national, whether they are international? Who and what can I trust? Who and where do I belong? What is my social identity? Okay, if I'm attacked because of where I live and you know where my nationality, then what is safe? Do I have to hide my nationality? What does that say about my authenticity? What does that say about, you know, showing up? And of course, the spiritual level, okay, which is part of our identity. Is it safe to connect to a higher self? Is there a higher self? What if my whole spiritual structure is up for renegotiation? How do I come to terms with that? Okay. For many people, the spiritual structure was an anchor of safety, but many people after war feel deeply betrayed by that spiritual structure. How come you allowed this to happen? How come we didn't protect my loved ones? How come there is place for such profound evil in the world? So all of these 5 levels invade the coaching space. It's no longer possible to coach the issue and leave all of that outside the coaching space. We are coaching a human being affected by war, living in war, feeling the loss and impact of war. We need to know how to hold a safe space for that, but that's not enough anymore. We need to know how to coach that, and we can. So if there's one thing I want to end up, I want to say it's time for us to elevate our coaching because we are all being called forth.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Shiri. Very important message, very important information and details on coaching, about coaching for coaches. And I would like to remind you that Shiri answered the question from the point of view of identity, what happens to self and client. And getting back to our structure, the next point will be about like developing skills as coaches. And to that question, Yara will answer the same question with the point of view of developing skills as coaches. Please, Yara.
Thank you. First of all, how inspired I am by the answers so far. And Shiri, thank you so much, because it's only natural to continue this conversation wearing the hat of a coach trainer. So this is what I'm doing. So for so many years, I am taking a group of people who never been coaches, and with other colleagues, of course, from different parts of the world. And as I said, I'm a faculty member of CTI. We're shifting them and taking them into the journey of becoming coaches, right? So for all of you who, I mean, all of you here are coaches, I assume, so you know this journey without war. And then I hear Shiri talk, and I'm thinking, gosh, she's so right. When, you know, I want to say, like, how training coaching skills before war and after war are just 2 different experiences. First of all, from the perspective of the trainer, and second of all, from the perspective of the participants. And there's so many variations here, because if I am a trainer who is under war and my participants are under war, Israelis, we have that mutual language, and then it's one lab of learning. If I am a facilitator in war and I'm working with global citizens of the world who do not understand war, that's another experience. And actually, for me as an individual, it has a little bit on my shoulder a way of obligation to even increase light and love in the world. So that's first of all in the big picture. Sorry. Skills. Well, it's interesting from my perspective. I'll actually start from divine and spirituality, and some of you are connected to this concept, some are not. I'm very connected to this topic, and that is my perspective. And I have noticed that in the space of training coaches today, when war is much more apparent in our space, as Shiri said, invaded every part of our existence, to talk spirituality and divine is actually not only okay, it's coming. It's coming. There's always a stream of conversation about that. It's so interesting. I said before that my personal experience is to become more authentic. So it's also on that area. I am not shy about my spirituality or my connection to my spiritual roots. I'm actually allowing myself to bring that into the space as a trainer, and that creates in the training, the coaching training space, much more permission to talk about coaching from not only the professional perspective, but why are we here? And how coaching is actually a vessel to increase spirituality in the world. That's at least, I see this conversation happening again and again and again, and not only in the Israeli rooms, I see it in the global rooms as well. And when I say room, I train them face-to-face or Zoom, but the conversations are with people from all over the world who are becoming coaches. And I see this conversation is getting increased, and that's really interesting. So that's the first thing. The second thing is our relationship with future. It's already a challenge to train a coach to take his or her client into their future vision, imagine. It's a shift from saboteur land and from what I can't be with, or I'm not good enough, or all those voices into I believe I can do this, I want to do this. This is, it's all that positiveness and energy that is coming from the future. And future now is a concept that in the Israeli rooms is a little bit cynical. It's like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. We can talk about future in 5 days from now, 10 days from now. And in the global rooms, it's still a very relevant conversation as if nothing is happening. So this is, for me, it's a different perspective. And I find myself as a trainer a little bit baffled between those two identities of does not experience war and becomes coaches, and the world that is in war and is being trained to be coaches. So it's really interesting, the relationship with future. And I actually personally, I take some oxygen and fuel from my participants, global participants, because they don't know war, and in a way it's innocent and sweet and hopeful, and I'm taking some energy from that, to be honest. So that's the second thing. The third thing is values. We train coaches how to name values, identify values, work with values, the value of self, whatever. I want to honor the value of self-accomplishment and success and fun and joy and love and sexuality and music and dance. Values, by definition, belong to our fulfilled sense and part as human beings. And how do we train people to talk about their values when they're facing so much evil, when they're facing death that is on purpose? It's like someone is trying to kill me because I exist. So values, fulfillment, at the beginning when I shifted from October 7th to starting to go back to work, I remember my first leading of CTI class was Zoom with an international group. It was fulfillment for those of you who are coactive coaches. It doesn't matter. It's really about learning how to work with values and saboteurs. And I remembered inside, I had such a deep dissonance between teaching them about, imagine those values and how do they look like? And then hearing a sigh, I'm joking, I'm laughing because it's surreal, not because it's funny. And I'm hearing the intersection of rockets above my head. And I had to run to the shelter in the middle of my training and to come back to a room that was in shock and not understanding, the Zoom room, not understanding, how do I even do that? How do I train other coaches in other parts of the world while I'm in life and death danger? My life is in danger. And then I understood, and it relates to so many things that many of you said in this really special panel. This is my value in action right now. It's the value of love, connection, harmony, global human positiveness. We can do this. We can do this. And I feel even more obligated to send the message as a facilitator, as a trainer, that we can do this, even in the darkest time and in the darkest places. And so that brings another piece of training coaches in times of war. It's pumping tons of, I'm lacking the word, power, just human power, superpower. That we didn't choose to have. We didn't choose to be superpower people who are in the middle of war and also helping other people. But if we get to do this, then let's do it in a most inspiring, amazing way that we can. I also want to add something about the trauma. Shiri hit the nail here very strong. Without adding the piece of trauma to coaches, today we're lacking something. We're lacking something because especially people who went under war and then they come for coaching. You know, today I want to say they know what they need, but I'm not sure that they understand sometimes that they are experiencing trauma or secondary trauma. And we as professionals, we need to understand that we see trauma in front of our eyes. Right now, I'm going through training as a participant in something that is called Constellation. And I asked from my facilitator, please bring a piece about trauma because I don't know enough about that. I'm experiencing that. I know how it feels. I don't have the tools to identify it. I don't know how to name it. Can I use it? Can we as facilitators talk about trauma? Because it's a big no-no in coaching. Trauma is not part of a coaching conversation. It belongs to the past. It needs healing. But we have a live trauma happening right now. I have participants. You know, the last time I was doing an in Israel training was when the Iranian blasted us with crazy 350 rockets that really, there was a miracle here. Talking about my connection to divine. For me, it's amazing Air Force and an amazing miracle that this thing didn't touch our ground, maybe 2-3 missiles, and nobody got killed, which is, it's unfathomable. And so in this space, we had those 3 days of training in a room, and we felt an energy of the doomsday coming because Iran is threatening to eliminate us on Saturday evening. And I'm standing in the room with my colleague and we're teaching coaching, like, what the fuck? But then I understood now is the time to learn how to be human. It became double times more important. So it's much more than skills. It's a mindset. It's a mindset of I am choosing to stay human. I'm choosing to stay in love with humanity, although I can be called a Zionist pig and a Jew and to be eliminated or whatever. I don't give a fuck. I'm here to stay, and I'm going to stay with the heroes from all over the world who recognize the best part of humanity. And coaching now, training coaches, for me, is much more than a profession. It's an obligation. So I had to expand on that because this really is alive in my heart and in my soul. And I hope I can as long as I live. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Yara. I would like to admit and add to what Lara already said about trauma, that I actually haven't been to Ukraine since the war started, and haven't seen that, haven't heard that, haven't experienced that. But for me, it was a big trauma, and I had to work with a therapist actually to overcome this trauma. And it's very important to understand that as a coach, because as a coach, it's really, for a coach, it's impossible to work in a state of trauma without realizing you're in trauma. And thanks for your great comments. Please read, there are wonderful comments, important comments. I will not read them, but please read them. They are very important, I think. And now we are already across the equator of our panel. It's so really impactful and so profound. And we are going to the next question, to the next layer angle, the impact of coaching initiatives on society. And I'll ask Alina to share with us her insights on that topic. Thank you, Alina.
Thanks, Olena. Yes, I will share the impact of coaching from the perspective of ICF chapter leader who works in a war environment. But I want to to start from my identity and to say that the biggest impact of coaching is that as a leader, I'm no longer afraid of anything. Living alone in a foreign country with 2 children and to lead a huge organization, to support team, to support coaches, to support clients, and to support big organizations via our projects that we have during wartime. I have been living in Germany for 2 years, but mentally and emotionally, I'm still in Kiev, and it's really a big challenge to live in one place, but mentally to be every time 24 hours a day in another place. I am not afraid to take responsibility, start new projects at the national level. Currently, more than 60 or even 80 volunteers, coaches, ICF Ukraine are involved in different activities. We implement projects for the professional development of coaches. We support a lot business and social sphere. And now we have really a strong request from business, from non-profit organization for cooperation with coaches. Individually and in the organizational level. I would like to say that there was a strong opinion in the world, in our community, that coaching is impossible in the conditions of war, that the requests and tricks of the military context like sphere of psychotherapy. However, the practical experience coaches proved that coaching works as a supporting profession along with psychotherapy and psychology. During the war in Ukraine, we ensure launch of new large-scale coaching projects. The projects that are really, really important and necessary in Ukraine more than ever. I'm proud that ICF Ukraine has not stopped working since February 2024. It has been working and even growing, and we initiate projects to support Ukrainian leaders. And we have unique experience, unique project for business. Last year, Ukrainian coaches, ICF Ukraine members, provided support for, dear colleagues, 500 Ukrainian leaders as a part of the pro bono program. These leaders impact to recover economy during the war and after a period after the war. 70 Ukrainian coaches take part in this project. This is the biggest national coaching program to support Ukrainian leaders in partnership with the Ukrainian educational company, the Tech Academy, and the ICF Foundation. I can see that leaders who had worked at their personality before the war and continue to work with their coaches now overcome challenges more easily, support their teams, develop businesses in the wartime. A lot of businesses not just survived during the wartime, they become even bigger. Then they can work with their teams. They can find new solutions, and they really go to innovations. They create a new experience that didn't exist before. ICF Ukraine strategy is to develop professional coaching on the Ukrainian market and provide support to society, business, education, non-profit organizations. And in our chapter, we have 5 committees with different directions, and we make a lot daily. We are coaches, and we have taken the responsibility to be support for others, and we do it. I'm proud that during the war, last year, ICF Ukraine celebrated International Coaching Week for 5 days without a break. We had 39 events for different stakeholders. This year, we have more than 50 events for 6 days. And it's our strategy to educate different parts of Ukrainian society how coaching can support business, how coaching can support education, non-profit organizations during the war. And this is our way of supporting our people, Ukrainians. Ukrainian coaching community makes its contribution to the society's resilience and well-being. And we cooperate with different organizations to support leaders, to support organizations. As the coaching community grow, expand our area of influence, engaging more and more people into coaching. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Alina, for sharing your perspective. And the next angle will be of business and corporate leaders. And I would like to invite Olga to cover that. Please, Olga.
Thank you for this question, and thank you for sharing, Olena, at the very beginning, before this question, your personal experience. And what I would like to say that it's truly difficult to say just from one perspective, like business and corporate, because in the end, we have one perspective for every one of us, our personality. Like business starts from the personality of business owners, of directors, of leaders, and so on. And when we speak about coaching and business, coaching in business, we also speak about personalities of the coach and of the business leaders. So what resonated me a lot, that at the very beginning, I also heard many times that coaching is impossible in the terms of war. But the truth is that war didn't ask us if we are ready to follow the rules and to be coaches or not to be coaches in that circumstances. What revealed that time, our values sharpened a lot, because under high pressure, stress, and uncertainty and traumatic events and many, many scares like missiles above your head, yeah, and blackouts and explosions. I live in Kiev and I hit a lot of that stuff very, very close to me. Probably it's a miracle, but our values sharpened on that. And what I brought to business leaders and just to businesses and different organizations, actually my values. The first one is love. It was so challenged at the beginning of the war. It was so difficult to love when you hate so many other evil people. But once I realized that love to myself, to my son, to my family, to my country is bigger than the hate to the evil. And that's what helped me, became a support. And it was not possible to realize it without questions, without coaching mindset, without openness. The other, my value was creativity. I love to create something. Under pressure of uncertainty and stress, it was really difficult. I have headache first 2 months because I was in severe stress. But at the same time, I just realized that I cannot stop creating. I needed to create something, new partnerships, new connections, new ideas, or the ways to support someone else, or even to paint just something. It was so important, and it was about resources. Coaching gave us and is giving us resources. It is a support for us. And mainly this impact. We speak a lot today about the future because as we know, coaching is about the future. And probably it's like a paradox, but in the wartime, coaching is also about the future. And for me, like love, creativeness, and development, another my value, aligned here together. And coaching helped business leaders and like corporate context to think about future. And yes, one of the scenario of this future may be when I'm dying. It's so realistic. Or board of directors may die because the missile, the building where they are sitting. It is also realistic in the wartime. But we realize it as one of the scenarios, not the main scenario, but one of many. And it helps us to see more brave in future and to understand and feel that there is something bigger than I am, than some of the companies is, or people in this company. And it helped to be more resilient, not just in terms of individual, but for the whole organization or many organizations. And I believe the whole country and countries. So the main impact is be brave to think about the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ola. You're already mentioning our final question, and we'll come to that. So thanks for this bridge. And we still have a perspective of like international leadership. And for that perspective, I would like to invite Lara.
Thank you. When I was listening to all of you, I was having such kind of flashback. I was going through the memory from the day, like Olena mentioned, define the before and after and what happened. And I think I'm not going to speak about the personal level only. It's possible to speak about personal level, a professional, organizational, international, but they're all interconnected. And I think at some moment, each of us had to define herself or himself at the crossroads. when the bigger choice needs to be made. And that bigger choice can be very different. So when I was looking at the screen, reading that email, what started in Ukraine, and going through the news, staying connected with families and colleagues and clients, the burning question again was what I can do. It was not only about the coaching. It was about how to be yourself in the moment. I was not going that I was prepared to do that. And I received a mail from one of my former coaching clients. I met her in November 2021 when we met in Kyiv. Like, highly experienced, highly ranked executive female lady or woman lady. She was full of, we just completed the 6 months coaching engagement. She was full of energy to implement what she designed for herself as a leader. And then when she sent me, saying, Larysa, we need to talk as soon as possible, it was March 1st. And her question, and she said, I don't know who I am, and I don't know what to do. It was so tangible, this power and vulnerability. And I was asking the same questions. And we are talking our Zoom call. I cannot say that it was a coaching session. It was strong partnership conversation where we are crying together, laughing together, designing together, looking back together, looking forward together. And I was asking myself, okay, who can help coaches at that moment? Who can help them? And then this is how our international initiatives was born. When a few coaches from Ukrainian chapters who were in different countries, because we were able to help in the way that probably we would be able to help or do what we did if we would be in Ukraine. And we decided, okay, we can reach our international colleagues, not because we are hopeless, because we are hopeful. Because we knew that coaching is working, we believed, and we knew that it's necessary to have not just the new eyes, it's necessary to have the new level of courage, the new level of understanding what coaches can do as leaders. And at that moment, like Alina said, I was not scared anymore about doing anything, about knocking any door, about asking anybody, about asking the people whom I never met, not just help us, no, just asking what we can do together, because coaching is about partnership. And we needed to create the new level of partnership between professional bodies. And very soon we designed the program, pro bono coaching program from ICF Metro DC chapter coaches to the ICF Ukraine coaches. And that almost 9 months coaching program became the international leadership case in coaching. And last year, I was very honored to present the result, to present that leadership case at the ICF Converge. But it was in 2023. But I cannot tell you how difficult it was to accept the reality, to embrace the reality when some international colleagues were saying, no, we are behind politics. It's not so obvious. It's not so, no. I was thinking, how it's possible? Do not understand the new context which is happening now, and how it's not possible to see the moment when coaches really can contribute to the society at the different levels. I was asking myself, how about responsibilities for society, which is the part of ethical conduct of coaches? Yes. What can we create as responsible coaches? It's not only to do coaching, it's do more than coaching. It's to stand up, speak up, and level up. And this is when I think it's possible to find a way that coaching can redefine itself as a profession again. It's not only about cross-professional connections, which which Shiri was mentioned, yeah. And also it's about the new level of understanding what coaches can bring to the coaching conversation. Do they really understand the clients or not? Do they really have the similar experience, or how they can transform the experience they had before into the new context? Some clients came to me asking, okay, let's talk about love in the war. This is what Olga mentioned, yeah. This is what Yara mentioned. Let's talk about soul. Let's talk about spirituality. Let's talk about what can guide us when we cannot trust the world anymore. International level or institutional level also gave me the reason to think about different types of war, not horrible, bloody war which is happening on the front line, but the war which clients were telling, internal war. Internal war, the complexity and the confusion and the contradicting values. Values can contradict. It's paradoxical, but it's true. And the values to be so neutral, its professional value, is contradicting with the necessity to take responsibility in different level. It was very difficult for us, Ukrainian coaches, in March, in April, in May 2022, to bring international coaches to speak about ethical challenges and ethical dilemmas. We are not able to find them. We are inviting, and they were saying, you know, busy, different schedule, even without suggesting, okay, let's do it later. We were bringing uncomfortable questions to the coaching communities. And this is, I cannot say that this is the word, no. Let's talk challenges. But it was very challenging to hear the word war from our international colleague. They were trying to avoid difficult situation, conflict, challenges, chaos, etc. And we are so persistently convincing them that it's necessary to be brave enough to name what is happening. War is the war, period. And we need to embrace it. If you are not brave enough, tell us. We can accept it. And we can deal something with this. I don't know. And another thing, so the program I mentioned about Metro DC and ICF Ukraine, I was so excited that it wasn't necessary to explain in a long way. I think when leader is ready to take responsibility, everything is following. And when coaches are becoming the leader, it's possible to create what was not possible to create before. We never had programs like that. We never interconnected with very well-established, very big chapter, and to create almost for 3 weeks, to create very complex program with different levels of innovative things. Olga Vasylets was working with a small group of Ukrainian coaches, and the coaches from Metro DC who never worked with Ukrainian coaches, who don't know Ukrainian language. Olga was they co-coach. Olga was not translating. Olga was the person who was using different language, translating from Ukrainian to English, from English to Ukrainian, to make between language coaching possible. Who did that before? We didn't. Alina was in the small group, and she was working with the MCC leadership coach. And I remember the certain moment when Alina decided to run to become the president. Why? Because it was possible to get support that coaches needed to be able to help other people, to be able to do their work behind coaching. And I think this is what it's necessary, not just to talk about, to bring this new level of awareness, new level of experience, new level of courage, and a new level of responsibilities as a coaches. I think coaches really can change the world, but when we as a coaches can take a lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lara. Such a profound discussion. Thanks for sharing your views. And actually here we have some questions from the audience, and I would like to pay some attention to those questions. And what we will do, as there are quite few questions, what I'll ask to do, I'll read a question, and who of you feels like ready, please just raise your hand, and we'll be just one person answering, okay? So I'm reading the first question. Please just listen carefully. It's very interesting that most of the panelists are women. In war times, that's probably an interesting symptom. What do you think about that? Just raise your hand, and who will be the first that person will answer? Yara, please.
Yeah, first of all, statistically, most of the coaches communities are still women. This is a fact. So something like, I don't want to throw numbers that I can't support, but from my experience in the field, we're talking about 70, 60, 70%. I must admit that there is an encouraging movement where I see more and more males in the coaching classes. And I think that women as mothers, even if some of us are not mothers, we have that womb energy. We are into life. That's the power that we have. We create life. We bring life. We believe in life. And therefore, this panel is a panel of, I guess, that is pro-life. I know it sounds different in America if I say pro-life, but it's really just pro-life. And I was also seeing that in the panel. And, you know, what is amazing to me is that our colleagues from Ukraine, the women of Ukraine, are the ones who initiated this panel. So I guess this is us Israelis a few years from now, because we got, you know, and there is something about a woman who is reaching out to another woman who is experiencing something similar. Talking about, for example, Shiri referred to the sexual assault. There is a bond between us women around the world that is bigger than coaching, is bigger than profession, is bigger than our nationality. We see a woman, we are with her. I wish, by the way, on a personal or national level, we didn't feel that as women of Israel, by the way, when a lot of women organizations completely were silent to our pain of the sexual assault that our sisters and some brothers went through and still are going through in the captivity in Gaza. But that can explain why there are women here. That I was thinking about the same question as well, and that's why I was compelled to answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Yara. And also I'd like to mention that here our time is eventually coming to an end. So we have like more or less like 20 minutes to finish on time, because for us coaches, it's important to be time-wise. So I'll raise the next question, and it will come to one panelist from Ukraine, one panelist from Israel, because it's concerned. It's concerning our two countries. So just think about it. Who would like to answer? It will be the last question, and we will finish with our last question, my last question later. So the question from the, unfortunately, I can't see the name. It's like midlife career and executive coach. Whilst there are lots of similarities, would be interested to know what the differences are between Ukraine and Israel in terms of the impact of war plays for coaching. Just please be aware. I understand that it can be a topic of another discussion, like a full-fledged panel discussion. Just think what you would like to share, like in few words. Just someone from Ukraine and someone from Israel. I think it would be important. Yeah, Shiri, please.
Well, I'll try to keep my answer short. I think that there's one thing, you know, one huge elephant-sized truth in the middle of the space when we talk about the differences, and that has to do with anti-Semitism. You know, Ukraine have been in the state of war for 2.5 years. We're just 7 months. You know, we still have where to grow. Saying that with a lot of sadness. And we can look at, you know, specific things that are different and are common. But I think that the fact that Ukraine and Ukrainians are still getting an international hug, and Israelis are basically meeting old-time, pure, blunt anti-Semitism. Now, I'm going to say this. You can criticize the Israeli government policy. Hell, I do. We all do. Okay? That's not what we're talking about. Okay? You can criticize a country's policy. But it seems today that, you know, on the one hand, it seems today that if you're an Israeli or you're a Jew, first of all, if you're Israeli, then you're automatically a Jew, which isn't the reality. Okay? Israelis come in actually 4 different religions: Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Druze. But you meet anti-Semitism, and that creates an additional traumatization, an additional sense of isolation and betrayal, and a sense of hopeless. Because how do you fight, or how do you address thousands of years of bigotry and anti-Semitism when you're fighting for your life right now? And I think for me, that's the major difference, other than maybe, you know, small differences that have to do with geography and maybe culture a little bit. But that's what I've put in the space right now.
Thanks, Shiri. Yeah, I got you nailed it. I mean, that's one of these biggest issues we've got here. Lara, Alina, Olga, maybe you want to share something important from our side?
If to answer about differences, so I can say about differences between Israel and Ukraine, but I can say what is making maybe Ukrainian experience very special. So the first of all is very horizontal leadership, I think. This is making Ukraine very strong. My colleagues can add. Also, I think existential threat. It doesn't matter where we are, but we feel the same, and we understand that this war is not the war which is happening even for 10 years and in a few months, but this war which is happening historically for 300 years. It's inherited. It's inherited, not conflict. It's inherited history. I'm not asking everybody to learn Ukrainian history, but because of the geopolitical place Ukraine has and geopolitical role Ukraine was playing and is still playing. And this is a really borderland, as one of the authors was writing the book about Ukraine. And to understand this context, it's necessary to understand what is happening in Ukraine. I'm not getting that to repeat that it's not about Ukraine, it's about bigger issues. It's about the international law. It's about the international law which was keeping the world safe in more or less. But now all of these things were destroyed. And this is, we Ukrainians are fighting not just for freedom, for dignity, and for rights to exist. And I think in this way, we are very similar to your feelings. Yes, we are fighting for rights to exist. And it's not only about the front line. The one moment I joined the one conversation which well-respectful international coaching colleagues was having again, early March 2022. I think because the war in Ukraine was very hot topic. Yes, and I joined that conversation. It was for 30 minutes, and immediately one lady from, definitely Russian lady, not from Russia, but from somewhere, maybe from the States, jumped to the call, and she started saying that Ukraine is fascist regime, Ukraine is nationalist country, etc. And other colleagues who were taking part in that panel discussion, in that event, was just nodding. It means they were supporting her message. And if I would be able to jump behind the screen, and when I finally got the right to speak, I said, it's completely wrong. what she was bringing. This is a narrative completely wrong. And this is the way how we can, again, speak up, stand up, and bring not just the truth, but bring the necessity to understand what is happening. But what is helping us, I think we are on the same page. We are standing for the dignity and freedom and rights to exist. And this is, colleagues, if you would like to add, maybe I'm speaking too emotional, but it's not possible. Do not be emotional about that. We have rights to live. We have rights to speak our language. We have rights to have our land. We have rights to be who we are.
Thank you. Thank you, Lara. Well, I guess we have right to be emotional too, because we are humans. Yes. And so thanks for your emotions. And I believe it's impossible to just be impassive or neutral speaking about a topic like that. So thanks for being as sincere and authentic as you can be. We have like 6 minutes to finish our panel before we will wrap up. So I'll have last question. And as coaching is about future, it's about, you know, actually transcending this reality into something different. That's what I believe in. It's not just to, you know, delve into the problem. It's about looking for solution. It's envision the future. It's actually envision the bigger future. It's to create really love and different societies. That's what I believe in. Despite all the trauma and chaos and terrible experiences that we have, I do believe in better future for all of us. That's actually the main idea of this discussion. How can we overcome and transcend into different type of beings to live in a different reality on a different planet? That's what was my belief in coaching before the war, and that even is stronger right now. So my last question, which I will ask you to answer like in 1 minute, a challenge I'm offering you, will be as follows. How can coaching help people create a new reality and envision the future during the war? So 1 minute, please. And Olga, please answer that question.
I was actually thinking I would like to answer the first.
I feel you. Yeah, please do that.
Olena. I will try to be very short. Like 3 points. Coaching can help adapt people, adapt to new reality and to accept the reality as it is, even if it is difficult and hard, and to find those specialists who may support this client. If it's a trauma, probably psychotherapist or something like that, but coaching can help the people adapt. The second, coaching help to be resilient, to support resilience in clients, asking questions, mirroring and showing phenomenological attention to the person. Everything helps people to become more resilient, not just people, not just some clients, but even organizations. And the third is coaching help to shape the future through increasing influence, increasing impact, and to be aware of what you are doing, who you are, and where you are going, even in the wartime. Thank you.
Thank you. Who is the next? Just feel free to raise your hand and speak up. 3 minutes left. Okay, Shiri, please.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm gonna echo everything that Olga said and add 3 more things to that. I would say that, you know, in the face of chaos or war, new reality means a new normal. So we know how to negotiate a new normal. We connect to the belief system, we connect to the values, and we create the concept of a new normal. That's number 1. Number 2, in the face of chaos and uncertainty, there's a new emotional protocol that needs to be created. It has a being aspect and it has a doing aspect. We know how to create new behavioral protocols, whether they are emotional protocols or action protocols. So how do I function day to day in times of uncertainty? We know how to do that. We know how to do that in times of Vukan. We know how to do that in times of Bunny, B-A-N-I. If you don't know the term, Google it. It's very important these days. And last but not least, new resources, new concept about what creates the resources, a new way to anchor resources in our lives so we know how to focus and ground ourselves. And I'd say we have the ability to be really creative about resources. So think about standing on an unstable ground. How do you create your inner stability? You find your center, you create new resources, new protocol, new concept of normal. We know how to do that.
Thank
I'm
you,
going to add to that.
Shiri.
I'm going to add
Yara,
30
please.
seconds exactly to that. The special times here is that we are changing right in front of our eyes right now, and we keep changing. Coaching is raising the level of awareness of who am I becoming right now, and the ability to observe myself while I'm changing and not in retrospective is elevating the awareness, the human awareness of our own existence. So in a way, although it's coming from a very negative point of view, it's a quantum leap for humanity. It's a potential quantum leap for humanity to be able to look at myself right now and seeing who I am, what I'm thinking, and changing at the same time. So I'm watching, observing, and being at the same time. That's really sophisticated. And I think that we as coaches can be amazing bridges to that process.
Thank you, Yara. 1 minute left for Laura and Alina. Please accept the challenge.
Yeah. Yes, I can continue. For me, coaching, it's not just about relationship. It's about healing mostly. And we have a huge problem because people live their lives from traumatic ego, and we need to help to unleash potential because potential is without limits. And our greatest goal for all of us is to wake up, because all of wars and conflicts take place in a dream. When people sleep without realizing their own nature, there appear wars and conflicts, and the world is like in darkness. Coaching helps to wake up. So we need to aware and need to bring to people this knowledge about coaching and to build another society and to start from ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. Lara?
2 lines. As coaches, we can help when we are helping to define realities in their understanding, when we can help design them, what kind of reality they would like to have. If this reality is for next day, it's fine. For 5 years ahead, it's great. For 10 years, it's wonderful. But even tomorrow is a new reality, is a future. And help to do. Define, design, do. 3 words. And another lines. I love the meaning of new language. We need to start learning new language about values, about leadership, about reality, about future, about challenges. New narrative. We are creating new narrative. Our clients are creating new narratives from today, and also new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Larysa. Thanks a lot for this really profound, deep, powerful, meaningful, touching, emotional, real, authentic conversation. I'm really grateful for the panelists, and I'm really grateful for all of you who have been here with us, sharing your energy, sharing your presence with us, because being present is one of the biggest gifts we can give each other. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, and I wish all of us that we do believe in ourselves and our power to change the future, to make the world actually, a better place, not just in words, but in reality.